Hi, I'm Jane Lawrence. I'm the director of Hollingbury Park. I've got to talk about PowerPoints, blogs, communication and websites we used. Throughout our process, we've used PowerPoints to help us communicate our ideas visually and verbally to the class. At the beginning of the process, we made a thriller research PowerPoint. This helps us show visual examples of themes and techniques used within the thriller genre. By researching thriller, we were given the information to create our own opening title sequences using concepts from others. We used PowerPoints to explore specific opening title sequences in detail, such as The Sixth Sense, Brick and Collateral. By taking screen grabs, we were able to successfully annotate the title sequences. In doing this, we gave ourselves more information about the thriller genre. To pitch our film idea, we used a PowerPoint. It helped us to show how we wanted things to look without having to use a complicated explanation. The PowerPoint allowed us to annotate our work, use hyperlinks to resources, embed videos of popular sites such as YouTube. Overall, it was the simplest way to share ideas without a large group of people. With the blogs, the Quack blog enabled us to easily share our work with the group. It really helped that we didn't have to use emails and there was a place for everything. Well, we used the blogs to kind of communicate our ideas, but we preferred to use Facebook and texting because it was a more kind of informal way of talking to each other. We also used websites such as YouTube to show our work to kind of the public. Art of the Title to help us look at other opening title sequences, IMDb and the VLE. And we used an opening title sequence called Fahrenheit 451 to show ideas.
My name's Jamie Beveridge. I shot and did the soundtrack for our piece Hollingbury Park. The camera we used was a Sony HC9 HD video camera. One of the shots we used was to place the camera on a tripod on a roundabout and have the crew move the roundabout so that the camera would pan and film every item of the park that we were filming in. For many more scenes, we used the crew to move some of the play park equipment and then quickly get out of the shot so that it would look like the children had been playing on it and we could film them in motion. We were inspired by the film Fahrenheit 451, in which the opening scene used the camera to zoom out of various items, which we did with some of the equipment that we were filming. We used an establishing shot to pan the park and the surrounding wooded area to cover a lot of ground and establish exactly where we're filming. We had the idea of going through someone's head, so the way we did this was to use a tracking shot and track backwards until we reached the actor that we were using, and then start again from behind them and keep filming from the back of their head. This was then covered in editing. We had some issues with this scene as it did look very shaky and bumpy, but that also helped to give it a more voyeuristic feel, so it worked out in the end. We intentionally shot the piece early in the morning so that it would feel deserted and give the park an eerie feel. We panned over some detective notes that Jane had made, which followed conventions of a crime thriller. To get the soundtrack, we went on a website called incompetech.com and found a piece which we then reversed to make it sound very sinister. We only used one soundtrack, which was non-diegetic, which gave the park an eerie feel because it made the scene feel lonely and empty. The sound synchronized with the actions. For example, the music kicks in at the beginning of the piece when Sam turns his head and then looks back.
Hello, my name's Eleanor and I did the graphics and titles for our production Hollingbury Park. I've been studying graphic design for 2 years already and I've learned many processes during this time. One of the first things I learned was how to use Photoshop. Having had this background in graphic design, I think it's given me a big advantage when it came to creating and designing the production logo and the titles. I was struggling to think of a production name for our group. Inspiration came when I thought of combining all of our names, and then the name came to me. J squared ES. I like this because it looks deceivingly scientific. When you look at it, you might at first assume it is for a medical or chemical company. Then instead of having a production company or production studios, I wanted to do something different, so I chose to use production house instead. We decided, however, to change slightly what I had made because it didn't at first fit very well when making the title sequence. The titles that were chosen for the opening title sequence were inspired by the main characters of our film, taking the concept of having letters that were hollow inside, representing the emptiness of the paedophile and a lack of feeling. Then the thin stick, like letters, are supposed to represent the anxiety of the child and also the weakness of the bones.
My name's Sam Gavin and I did the editing for Hollingbury Park. I also acted in it and I was the camera assistant. When we started editing, we had to get all the recorded footage from the camera onto the computer. We used Adobe Premiere Pro for the editing software. The one thing that I really wanted to focus on was when we were coming up with the ideas for the stuff we were going to film, and I had the idea to make it appear as if we're going through someone's head, and Jamie's already talked about that a little bit with the filming. And so the way we achieved this was I took the 2 shots that he'd filmed, the first one coming out and then the second one coming out of the back of Jane's head. The way we did this was we had the 2 shots next to each other, and then I put a dissolve in between it to make it look as if we're fading through someone's head. So that actually turned out a lot better than I expected it to. It was a lot easier than I expected it to as well. With the camera assistant, I didn't really do too much. I just extended the legs and put the camera where it needed to be. Jamie and I worked together trying to make sure that we had the editing. I had editing in mind when we were filming it, so we were able to have a lot of different inputs, a lot of different ideas, and it really helped. Every day when I was editing, I had to blog some stuff. It went well. The acting was fun, I guess. I had to turn my head, and it was interesting. The final cut turned out pretty well, I think. I kind of half expected it to turn out really badly, actually, but then it actually turned out very well. I'm personally very proud with the project. I think all the group did very well. I think we managed to create quite a thrilling piece of media.